Stop recording. Stop recording.
Coffee is an adult beverage. What child drinks coffee? Ooh, I have a quick story I could tell about a child that drinks coffee. It was me as a kid.
Wow. That was quick.
I could have told you that.
Does too. My niece would make her own coffee, and this was like when she was 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
My brother in the late 70s, early 80s had asthma, and the doctor recommended to my mom that he drink coffee. He was like probably 5 years old, and she said if he has coffee in the morning, the caffeine will help with not the asthma. But I have 2 other brothers. It's my younger brother and then my older brother and me. So my mom couldn't give just the 5-year-old coffee. So in the morning, you had all these kids getting ready to catch the bus, and they're all drinking their coffee.
Wow.
How old were you?
I would have been like 6. I would probably have been about 7 years old, and I drank it for a few years, and then I just stopped because I was like, "This is gross," and I didn't start drinking coffee again until probably like 5 years ago. I started.
Was it just in the morning though?
Yeah.
See, my niece would drink it at night. And then my sister-in-law would complain about the fact that she stays up so late and she's out. I was like, well, you feed her candy and coffee. What do you expect?
Yeah, it was all whiskey at night for us, Mary. I mean.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes
They're not animals.
Yeah, true. Civilized.
I mean, a little caffeine, a little bit of anything. Caffeine is not a bad thing.
No.
Nicotine, like nicotine on its own, I quit the new year, and I haven't looked back, but I was just like done.
Yeah.
But nicotine itself is not a problem. Like nicotine, it might raise your blood pressure a little bit.
Hold on. This sounds like Ian's Science Corner.
Oh.
Do we have a graphic for it?
It's playing right now, Steve.
Excellent.
Ian's Science Corner. Ian's Science Corner. Okay, that's good.
The thing about nicotine is taken in small doses is completely digestible by the body. It breaks it down and turns it into golden nuggets of thought and productivity.
Doctor, why would one ingest nicotine? What would be the purpose?
Coolness.
Hey, this is Steve with the Punch Up Podcast. With me on this episode are Kevin Regan.
Hello, Steve.
Jessie Preisendorfer.
Hey, Steve.
Ian O'Shea.
Hey, Steve.
And in the storyteller chair, Mary Carpenter.
Hey, Steve.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Yours.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell the story of, I believe, the first professional baseball game I ever went to. And this was, I was in 6th grade, so I was like 11. Now, I need to back up a little bit. So I don't have the street cred of a Roney Irish Catholic family, but I am the youngest of 6 Irish Catholic family.
Adorable. Adorable.
Yeah, like not even trying.
No, I know. It's just cute, right? But it was interesting because my dad was Irish Catholic, my mom not so much. And what they did is they had 5 kids in 4, they had 4 kids in 5 years. And this is my second, by the way. Then 10 years later, they had my sister, Anne. So I figure I was really the only planned child because they thought, well, she should probably have someone to play with. So then they had me.
We're not playing with this kid.
Yeah, exactly. They were all teenagers at this point. So I was the youngest. And at this point, too, not to go too dark, but it was kind of a marriage saving thing at that point. I mean, my parents probably should have gotten divorced before either one of us had been born, the last 2. But, they held on. And
you did say Irish Catholic, so we're with you.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Well, there was some tax relief.
There was. I mean, 6 kids, right? So anyway, fast forward to 6th grade, middle school, never a good time for anybody. And it was just actually probably the previous spring that my parents sat my sister Anne and I down and said, hey, we're thinking about getting a divorce.
Wow.
And now this was also, I was brought up in a family too where we talked about nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we never argued. There was never any fights. You never saw anybody angry. So for them, and I think we all sort of suspected it, but nobody told us shit. So like
there were probably no fights, but behind every closed door were knife marks and punch holes, right?
Easily.
Like, everybody had their posters hung in their room to cover up the punch holes through the drywall.
Easily.
Yeah.
So my 4 older brothers and sisters had probably been expecting this for years, but they had to somehow figure out a way to break it to the 12-year-old and the 11-year-old. And so we're like, so they tell us this, and they said, if you want to talk about anything, let us know. But we don't know how to talk about shit,
Yeah.
So,
any questions?
Yeah.
Did they get this idea from Phil Donahue?
Probably, or from their attorneys.
Right.
Right.
Mary, how old are your parents at this point, do you think?
So let's see. My mom was 36 when she had me. So at this point, she's 47 and my dad's like 49. And so that had happened the previous May. So, they basically were getting separated at that point. And so I, and my dad
did you guys at least get some ice cream to wash this down, or?
Nothing. Like I was at a friend's house the night before, and who childhood friend, like we slept over at each other's houses all the time. We just sort of lived at each other's houses. And when I went over there the night before, I said like, I have to go home by 10. And she was like, why? And this was like my witchy sense. I said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. My parents are probably going to tell me they're getting divorced. Anyway, I don't know. And sure enough, the next day they told us that they were thinking about it.
Yeah.
So
we don't want to alarm you guys. We're just tossing around some ideas.
Yeah,
we'll see how you behave for the next month. If you guys are good,
right,
and don't cause a lot of trouble, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, do you guys have any questions? And we're like, I don't know. What? So, and just, I mean, this is not related to the story, but when they actually were going to get divorced and it was final, I remember going into the kitchen. We had this cupboard that was filled with snacks, because at that point they kind of gave up. They were like, these kids raised themselves, so just give them whatever. So
let them go.
Yeah. So I opened the thing. I was grabbing an Oreo or something like that. And my mother was in the kitchen and she came over and she said, I just want to let you know that tomorrow I'm going down to Delaware and we're finalizing the divorce. And this was, right, this was the moment she chose. And it was
was it a negotiation to see if she could get you to side one way or the other? Your father buys Hydrox.
Yes.
I'll live with me, right?
Wanted plausible deniability, or I've covered all my bases. I've told
that explains all these tasty cakes.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, you look hungry.
Yeah. Hey, we're not going to talk about your feelings, but feel free to eat them.
Yeah. There's ring dings and devil dogs and mint chocolate covered Oreos. Have at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, so in the interim, it wound up being probably, of course, best for all around. They should not have been married that long. And I wound up having a better relationship with my father as a result. But I think in the interim, my father felt so guilty that he was overcompensating on the togetherness thing. So there was one point, so 6th grade was kind of a tough year because I also that summer contracted Lyme disease before they knew what Lyme disease was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't even a thing yet. And I went through about 6 months of having weird joint pain. It started in one ankle and then went up one side of my body and down the other. And my mother was...
That's a totally random and strikes everybody differently. And I mean, even when you have it and now they know what it is, they have a hard time diagnosing what it is.
Right. And it makes sense because that was an overnight camp that summer. And so I probably got it there. But my mother kept taking me to all these appointments. They thought I had rheumatoid arthritis. I had to go to the Wills Eye Hospital because arthritis can affect your eyesight. We had to keep a journal where we took my temperature and I got the little red ring rashes and all this stuff. And I,
Which one of your grandparents, which one of your grandmothers was telling either of your parents that you were just doing it for attention?
I only had one
Her
grandparent at
joints
this
don't
point.
hurt.
She's 12 years old. She doesn't have rheumatoid arthritis. She doesn't want you to get divorced. She needs attention.
Yeah.
Or she's sleeping with boys.
That's most likely it, because I was just that personality.
Yeah.
But and sixth grade was like just shitty for all reasons. You're in high school and you're, you know, like I was an introvert and all this.
Yeah.
I remember once there was sometime like I was either my ankle or my knee hurt so bad that I was going to be late to class, and I was like hobbling up. Our middle school had 2 buildings, and I had to go from one building all the way to the other building and up the stairs to like French class or something like that. And my knee was killing me. And this was before anybody gave a shit to make accommodations or anything. It was just like, oh, well, too bad.
There was no ADA. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like hobbling up the steps, and I was late and feeling guilty because I was a good girl and didn't want to be late to class. And I remember one of my classmates, Mark Steinman, I'll never forget it. Like, I forget what he said, but he made fun of the fact that I was limping.
Oh.
He was awful. And I just wanted to cry. I felt horrible. And
In Mark's defense, was it a funny joke?
I don't.
Was he funnier than Roney?
Yeah, that's what
I was going to say that explains why you're so hostile towards the Jews.
No, definitely not funnier than Roney. Not really funny at all. I mean, and I had I've been raised on a healthy dose of Carol Burnett, Mary Tyler Moore, and Mel
Oh,
Brooks.
it was a classic, like, nice limp.
Yeah, like just something mean and stupid. And there wasn't even an audience for him to like get points for.
Just
right?
meanness.
Just
Straight meanness.
too-
He
too
probably
like,
just came from
always.
getting a swirly himself.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Junior high in that kind of setting, or high school in that kind of setting, like just like where you're crossing buildings and just like if you're late to class, the only people you're going to see are the people that bully or the people that get bullied.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those are the only people.
True.
Like, most kids just want to get to class on time because they're like, if I don't get to class on time, I'm gonna get punched in the throat.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And this was also like, let's not make this worse than it was. It was in a very nice suburb of Philadelphia. So it was like a really nice middle school, but it was still, you know, whatever. I just remember feeling completely debilitated.
It's still a tough age. no
Did you
matter
play
where it is.
sports?
Terrible. It's terrible.
So my dad decides he's going to take my sister Ann and I to a Phillies game. Now, I had never, like, neither one of us had ever shown any interest in baseball, but my dad was a big sports fan. Like, he coached baseball for years, like from when my brothers were younger to he coached my softball team to like coaching Little League when his kids had no affiliation with it at all. He just loved the game.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
to this day, like, people will come up to me or come up to him and say, like, you changed my life from your coaching. Like, he just was a great coach. And, you know, I remember once he visited me at college and we were having breakfast, and this was, you know, my town where people knew me, and somebody like walked by the window, came into the restaurant and said, you're Richard Jackman. Oh my God. I was on your team at this age and you completely changed my life, and now I'm the successful whatever. And I was like, I'm supposed to be recognized here.
Yeah.
This is in Chicago, Mary.
Yeah.
This is in Chicago. Yeah. So yeah, he was just, he's a great guy, and he was a great coach. I mean, he's the type of coach who, when players would come off the field, they'd be like, I can't believe the ref made that call. It was such a stupid call. And he said, all right, do me a favor. At the end of the game, count up the number of mistakes you made and the number of the mistakes the ref made, and then come complain to me. You know, like, he would just teach them these life lessons, and he was a great coach. So he loved baseball. And so anyway, he's going to take my sister Ann and I to this baseball game, and he gets us these really good seats because at that point he's got like a good job and he's making really good money. And we don't know, you know, because we've never been to a game before. And I remember going there, and I forget which joint. It was either my ankle or my knee. Really,
Oh,
like,
Here we go again.
yeah. know. But it was like I was hobbling up there. We get to the seats, and they're behind the catcher. Like
would you do the like up the stairs? Like, you guys go ahead. I'll be okay.
Oh, I wouldn't even say that though. I would just be like, don't pay attention to me. I will get there. Yes, exactly. Like, didn't, totally sucking it up. Like, and didn't want to call any attention to myself.
And it's the vet. It was pure concrete. There's no soft places to walk. It's just.
And the steps are this steep.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. She said that's right behind the catcher. Are you literally behind the catcher? Because then you're in the diamond box seats, and you actually walk down steps to get to
This
that.
is at the vet.
No, we're not. Like, we're
the
up.
vet. The vet has diamond box seats.
Yeah, no, we're up a little bit. So if the catcher's here, we're probably up, but that's the position that we're in.
Okay.
And so we're watching a game. I don't remember much about the game. I don't remember who they were playing. I mean, I wasn't into baseball, but we were spending time with
The Harlem Globetrotters, no doubt.
Could have been.
No, the Washington Senators.
That's who the Globetrotters play. That's right. You're right.
The Senators or the Generals?
Oh, the Generals. Yeah.
The Senators were the old Expos.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are good. So we're sitting there, and I really don't remember much about the game, except at one point there was a foul ball, and it was, and it was the one point, and it's coming so fast, and I didn't really look. Like, I literally looked this way, and then all of a sudden I look back, and it's coming right at my face.
Ooh.
And it hits me right in the face.
No.
Oh my God.
Yes. I mean, but it was a foul ball over the batting cage, and I remember it hurting, but not like hurting horribly, right?
It didn't break
Not as much as your rheumatoid arthritis?
Not as much as my rheumatoid arthritis.
Great. Now I have this.
Yes, exactly.
Giant lump.
It was such a Job year for me. I couldn't even tell you. And the funny thing, of course,
Oil can.
awful.
Can.
My dad feels awful, and he's like, "Oh my God," because apparently, as he's telling the story, the foul ball's coming towards him the whole time, and he's ready to catch it, and at the last minute, it veers over.
Your face gets in the way.
Smacks me right in the face, right? And I was just like, and it bounced off my head and hit probably not the row in front of me, but the 2 rows in front of me, and that guy kept the ball.
Yeah, and he picks it up. He's like, "Look what I got!" And everyone's like,
Right.
"Yeah."
So I didn't even get to keep the ball, but literally within 10 minutes,
Sucks.
the suits were up there saying "Are you okay? Is everything all right? Are you okay? Because they were afraid we were going to sue them."
Yeah.
Of course,
Even back then.
even back then. And my dad was never a litigious guy, ever, ever, ever. So of course we weren't going to do that. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Whatever. I'm Irish. I'm fine."
No, you're not, kid. All your joints hurt. Blame it on the baseball.
Right.
Well, there is this one. My parents are thinking about getting a divorce, and I'm not sure how to handle that. I mean, is there anybody here I could talk to? Or
I've been faking these joint injuries.
Plus, your dad's going to lose custody if you walk home with a welt on your face. So.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my dad's like, no, it's not. Don't worry about it. It's divorce. I don't know. We're taking a.
Where did I get this? These kids.
Guy, get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Yeah, it's fine.
Can we get the ball? Can we get the ball back?
Yeah.
We should
Enough.
at least give the 11-year-old girl the ball. But no, he was a big old dick and didn't give me the ball.
Probably a Yankees fan.
But yeah, so that was my first major league game. Is I got hit in the face with a ball while recovering from my parents' divorce and Lyme disease. So, cheers.
Wow.
Which of those is more painful, the divorce, the Lyme disease, or the hit from the ball?
Lyme disease.
Probably. I had Lyme disease. I would agree.
The Lyme disease sucked. It really did. The divorce was probably longest lasting.
I don't know. That Lyme disease keeps coming back. Those joints are still.
That can be a bugger.
It can. Who knows? Because they didn't even know it was that. I remember I came home. I was in school over in London after college for a year, and I came home from Christmas. So this was 10 years later.
Oh, yeah.
I come off the plane. Literally, the first thing my mother says to me, it's not like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you." It was, "You had Lyme disease." And I said, "What?" She goes, "I read an article. We're going to get you tested." And sure enough, went to the doctor and got tested, and I still had the antibodies. And
Wow.
Did they treat it then?
they did. They gave me antibiotics.
Do you still have that dramatic disease?
No, I have other dramatic diseases. I like to call attention to myself in other ways.
When you were getting off the plane, did you take one step at a time? Like, oh. Oh.
Oh, I'm so.
Oh. If only there were a name for this.
Yeah. No,
Just
at that
holding
point,
onto other people's shoulders as you walk up the. What are you doing, lady?
I was lucky. I was so lucky because after 6 months, it went away.
That's great.
That is pretty lucky.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a miserable 6 months.
It was a miserable 6 months. It was, because I'm so self-conscious, and I had parents who never, they don't, you cover everything up. So that sense of any sense of suffering, you do not show.
See, that's also why you earlier had said, in the Roney household, the Irish Catholic, your household, they cover it all up. In Steve's household, his father would pick up whatever your medication was, and he would be doing shots on it. So,
Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
The good and the bad. That stinks.
How long after your parents told you they might get a divorce did they finally get the divorce?
It was probably somewhere between 6 months to a year. And to make it more pathetic, this is how much we didn't talk about it. So my dad already traveled a bunch for work. So when friends would come over and spend the night, because this was a time where nobody got divorced, at least not. I grew up on the main line, and nobody got divorced, or if they did, nobody talked about it. So they would, they'd say "Oh, where's your dad?" And I'd be like, "Oh, he's traveling. He's away. He's on a business trip." And then, so I didn't tell anybody for 2 years. And then there was literally one time I played soccer in middle school, but they didn't have girls soccer team. They were trying to integrate girls into the boys soccer team. So we were the trial case. So it was 8th grade, and we were suiting up for practice or a game or something. And I started crying, and somebody said, "Oh my God, Mary, what's wrong?" This is what I said. I said, well, my parents got divorced 2 years ago, and I'm just sad about it. That was the first time I told anybody.
Oh my
because
God.
it was
And your
just.
coach was like, "Oh, you're Irish Catholic."
Yep.